Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have on Erin, and she is here to tell us the story.
Yes. My name is Erin. And when I was younger, I was all about living by the rules, making sure that I was like seen as this kind of perfect child, as the oldest child, and really trying to live up to, my parents' wants in terms of being really great at school. I grew up with this feeling of never really being enough, and my family, my parents were really great parents, but my dad worked a lot. The only time that we connected was really just talking at dinner with the rest of the family. The only way that my dad connected with my other sisters was through sports, and I was the art girl. So I grew up with this very, very intense fear of not being enough, and that dictated who I was. And I really just lived for everyone else's opinions of me. I didn't really know who I was. I kept very quiet, and I was constantly searching for validation and approval. And so getting into um, university and realizing that, oh, well, I need to find a job, I need to find a partner, and I need to tick off all of these boxes. I ended up getting into a relationship that checked all the boxes, but in the end left me feeling not enough entirely. And my partner was not a good fit for me. And to be quite honest, kept me at arm's length for a long time. And yet I still got married. There's lots of little parts to the story. But during the time that we were dating, I was constantly seeking his approval, and we ended up getting engaged. And I was in a bridal shop. I was standing on this pedestal in a wedding dress, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I had no idea who I was looking at. It was a point where I was like, oh my God, is this even really what I want? And everyone around me was smiling and so excited and like, oh, you're so lucky. But inside, I was just like, what the hell? And it was completely frightening, because it's almost like you look back at your life and you were pushing through this relationship because it's what you thought you should have or what you thought your parents wanted from you. And the sad part is that I still got married. And so even walking down the aisle, I felt completely nauseous, and I felt like I was floating above my body, watching all the guests, watching myself walk down the aisle and say yes. And that was not love at all. And so going through that marriage, and then very quickly after going through divorce, I mean, I was divorced after 3 or 4 months. So I think that is quicker than Kim Kardashian. And honestly, after that point, I was like, okay, like, how did I get here? At that point, I was living in Toronto and I moved downtown. And sometime after that divorce and moving out of our family home, my friend had asked if I wanted to go to a Halloween party. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 30 something. Do I really want to go to this? But I said yes. And then I was like, okay, well, what kind of costume am I going to wear? And I decided to put on Tomb Raider because I'm a little bit of a gamer on the other side of things. And I put that costume on. And when I looked at myself in the mirror again, I saw myself. I saw myself as this brave, courageous woman. And I was like, why can't I feel like this all the time? And so that moment kind of blew up my life a little bit, because it made me realize my value and my worth and what I truly felt inspired to do. And it was how I came up with Joy Tribe, which is basically in a dream. I woke up one night and I was like, oh my God, I have an idea, and writing that all down. But basically, my story, I hope what people hear is that the most important part of living is knowing who you are. And I think when we're younger, we don't get taught that. We're taught math and Pythagorean theorem and all of these scientific things, when we really should be taught, what do these feelings mean? Or why am I having anxiety about breaking up with someone who's terrible for me, but yet I still want to move forward? When I decided to create the Joy Tribe, this was kind of my point of discovering who I am. and doing the things that I love, going on trips by myself, and really getting to know myself and the life that I wanted. Well, that is my story. And yeah, that brings me to where I am now.
And where are you now?
So, where am I now? So, I created the Joy Tribe to help people find themselves. So, women or men who had lost themselves in relationships or just kind of got to a point in their life where, like, what the heck? What am I doing? Being able to help people come back to themselves and realize, okay, this is what I like doing. Or, oh my gosh, I forgot I like to do this hobby. Or, I haven't done this since I was a kid, and being able to connect with that little kid and that sense of joy, and also being able to connect to different emotions and trying to understand those, because I think we get into the rigmarole of life and we just kind of like, go through work and we go through our day and we don't really actually take time to assess why we feel a certain way. And so really that's my work, is to be able to help people live the life that's really for them, that's authentic to them. And I have always been a hopeless romantic. I even wore a hopeless romantic shirt today. So I love, and I've always been that way. And I believe that the dating culture right now it's a little bit screwed up. It's a lot of it screwed up. Mm-hmm. There's not any connection. Everyone, and I've done it. I've been there. I've done the swiping, and it is very much a superficial gamification of like swiping right, swiping left, and you're not actually getting to know the person at all. You're getting to know their photo or some text in their caption, but like, are you actually getting to know them? And I think people are using this as, first of all, a sense of worth. So if you're not getting any likes, then you think that you're not worth it. Or, people never really want to take a chance on other people because of such and such thing. I think that apps are a great tool and they're a great way to find people and meet people if you get there. But if the other person or if the two people aren't willing to do that, then what's the point? Mm-hmm. And so I created Date on Purpose because I wanted to bring people together who all want the same things, that, have an idea of what they want in a partner and what their life is. They're settled in who they are, and bringing those people together so that they can find each other. Because I think everyone gets lost on the apps and we get so cynical, but really all of us just need connection. We just need to be able to have a conversation with someone. Mm-hmm. And to me, Date on Purpose is really the event. But the deeper meaning for me is to legitimately just getting people, humans, to talk to each other, to have conversations, to be able to connect on a way that they wouldn't have imagined, or maybe spoke to someone that they wouldn't have met on the apps and actually are like, oh, wait, this person is interesting. I feel some chemistry, and it's not sexual attraction. Oh my God, like what a concept. And so we end up learning about people and having empathy for people. And hopefully, in a small way, this makes the world a better place. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I'm at, because the world is a little bit cray-cray right now. And I think we just all need connection.
Yes, I agree. And I think for me, that's what Tales of the Town is all about.
Yes.
Is getting people talking to each other, showing each other that we're all human at the end of the day. And mostly talking to each other.
Yeah, we all have a story.
Yeah. How are you encouraging people to connect?
So with my event, every person is vetted. So basically you fill out a registration form, and I have questions about, yes, what are you looking for, but what is meaningful for you in a relationship. And so everyone, that kind of makes sure everyone is wanting the same thing and is there for a reason. There for a purpose. And so when you come to the event, I facilitate connection through prompts. So I have I think it's around 8 themes. So talking about relationships, who am I? What does the future look like for people? What does a day in the life look like for people? To break up some of the more serious things, but having like humor and having questions around that, having people laugh together, sharing a moment, sharing an experience. So when you're going there, you're not going there like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. There are literally questions on the table for you to ask. And the beautiful part is that it's not speed dating where two people sit across from the table and you have to explain yourself in 2 minutes or less. It's literally a group of people at a table, and there may be like 4 to 6 where you're all asking questions to each other. So you're going there to hopefully find a partnership, but that might not always be the case. You might find a friend who you end up hanging out with for a while, and that's how you meet the person that you're, like the next person you're going to be in a relationship with. So this event isn't necessarily like trying to find your soulmate. It's finding people that align with your life and having more of those people in it, and being able to create relationships that way.
I love that idea that you have more than 2 people just at a table. I think it would make the conversation a lot easier for people that feel like there's too much pressure on. And it feels like you're being set up almost, right? When it's one-on-one.
Yeah. And I think just having more people at the table, it just takes the pressure off and gives people ease, because it's like, I'm sitting here with a bunch of people who, are all here and want to chat, want to talk, want to make connections. So why not ask a question? And I mean, you don't have to ask these questions specifically or anything like that. They're there just to help facilitate it. So if you have another question that's outside, it's just to spark something between people. So
have you had to turn people away?
I don't know how to explain it, but when you read someone's answer, you can tell sincerity in it. Like they took the time to answer that question and put some, words together that make sense and are really meaningful to them. And I think that is honestly my favorite part of this event. Not only the event itself, but it's seeing people be vulnerable about what they want and what they're looking for and what is truly valuable to them. And I think that's the beauty of this event, is that it's getting people to talk about themselves and being vulnerable and sharing things. I feel like some of these people haven't even shared this on the apps or with someone, that is sitting across from them in a date. I'm really honored to be able to read those answers and, welcome them at the event.
Okay, back to your journey of your story. How did you get to that wedding day and still go through with it? I know it's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
Did you have these inner whispers that were like, this is weird, and what happened?
It's funny you ask that, because hell yes, I did. I made myself sick. I had so much anxiety that it was hard to function on anything else. It consumed my day. It consumed my work. And I have been diagnosed with OCD and anxiety. So I just equated that to that. And I think not wanting to tell myself the truth and then having my body be like, no, Erin, this is not what you think. This is not what you deserve. I just remember being so hyper vigilant about keeping our relationship together, because, breaking up meant failure. And he was everything that I wanted on paper. And he was basically a testament to my value and my worth. And so if I lost him, who am I anymore? What value am I bringing to the world? Obviously, that is not true, and we know that. But I think people get into relationships wanting it so badly and wanting to feel wanted, even if it is a shitty-ass relationship. And I think that was where, that friction was happening, where I got into some pretty dark places, and I couldn't let it go. Leading up to that wedding day and standing on that pedestal, I knew something was wrong, but then at that point, it was too far gone. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? We've planned a wedding. It's at a winery in Niagara, and it's, a lot of money. What am I supposed to tell my parents? So, I mean, there is so much pressure, but also just tell the truth, because it's so much worse going through that wedding and having all of that happen. Whatever happens on the other side of that, it's still better to tell the truth. That's why it's so important to not ever gaslight yourself. Like, if you feel something, explore that and really, trust yourself in that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can relate to that, where you feel like it's that gap between what you want to do and what you should be doing, and always trying to be the good girl and just like do what you should do, even though it feels completely wrong.
Yep. Yeah.
And I had a moment like that too, where my brain was telling me like, this is fine, just be quiet, you're okay. Yeah. And then I physically started shivering and shaking.
Yes. Yeah. It can be so scary to sit down and listen to those thoughts and, accept them and be like, okay, I need to do something. But I think, like, what is it worth to you in terms of, having the life that you want to live and feeling good? Like, sitting here now and being who I am and remembering, as we talk about this, like, the feelings are coming back of like, how in the hell did I live my life for 7 years like that? Mm-hmm. Of my body, like, rejecting, like, my decision to be with this person and to get married. Like, the amount of anxiety and discomfort I felt every day. I'm surprised I didn't have a heart attack. Like, just remembering that. That's what I want to share with people, is that you don't have to live that life just because of what you see in the movies or what your parents did, or, and that goes for anything outside of relationships too, a job, whatever it is like, if something doesn't feel right to you, listen to that.
And like you said, to always speak the truth.
Yes.
Because then at least you can be true to yourself and you don't have to deal with, I don't know what it is, like that gaslighting yourself and tricking yourself. Because I think at the end of the day, we can't live with that. It will eat you up inside forever.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So as long as you're true to yourself, I mean, it's hard to confront people and to say things to end relationships, but you have to for yourself if that's what your like voices are telling you that you need,
And the funny part is that I wasn't actually the one that ended it. Like, the relationship ended up, thank God the universe stepped in, because it was almost to the point where I was like, I don't know if I would have ever been at the point where I'm like, I am ending this. But the universe put things in place that were like, I can't, this is no longer something I can stand in at all. I'm not going into any stories, but it was like, okay, like, I don't want to leave, but I have to leave in this situation. Be present, be aware.
And if things don't feel right, at least question them.
Yes.
Maybe not end the relationship, but like talk about it. Question things.
100%. 100%.
So after that relationship did end, how did you start to come back to yourself and start to tell the truth again?
I think it was more so because I also went through very many years in the dating scene, which was also equally as bad as it is right now. But it was a lot of like watching myself in the same patterns and going through those situations and being like, okay, Erin, like, let's look at this. Like, starting to take a bigger look at how my relationships and how my dating life was going, and the people that I was choosing and why I was choosing them. I don't know, over years that I just decided that I was going to, first of all, take a bigger look at how I'm dating, but also, how am I fulfilling my life? How am I giving myself joy? How am I building the foundation for the life that I want, so that when I do get a partner, that they're a complement to it? And that's kind of what changed for me in terms of discovering myself and how to, build a life that I love. Because when you do that, and I know this is going to sound cliche, and I'm slapping myself for saying this, but it does come when you're not paying attention to grasping at a relationship and wanting it so badly. What you should want is a life that makes you happy. Go do the things that, give you joy, those hobbies, go on trips if you can, go on a walk in nature. Like, you don't even have to leave your house or obviously leave your house, but like, you can explore your city. You don't have to travel to Europe. Go to a new cafe, a coffee shop. I think that's one of the things too that really helped discover who I was, is that I was going to places and I would start conversations with people at the coffee shop, and let's say we were in line for a coffee and I was like, oh, like, I don't know, I was making a comment on something that was happening in the cafe, and that's just how you talk to people. And so building my confidence that way, and then also building my life around that, was super, super essential for bringing me to where I am now.
I'm curious. You mentioned earlier before we started recording that you could talk to a rock.
I was like, what did I say before you said that? Okay, okay.
So I'm taking that as like sociable. Have you always been like that, or was that a skill that
No,
you built?
I was very, very shy in school, and I will attest this to, I worked at a fruit stand. So when I was very shy, I think I was like 16, I worked at a fruit stand, and it forced me to talk to people. And I think I always had it in me, but I was just scared. You're shy. Mm-hmm. And so as I started to talk to people, I also read the entire series of Harry Potter at the fruit stand. So that also like got up my curiosity, and I just felt more willing to talk and ask questions and, you know, build relationships with the people that were coming to my fruit stand, because there was also another fruit stand down the way, and I was like, you are not going to that one anymore. I'm going to make friends with you. So that really helped get me out of my shell. And I think, yes, I was shy, but I also think too that it was always in me, but it was a skill that I had to build. I wouldn't have just, you know, walked up to anyone and said, oh, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. It's putting myself in situations where I'm like, I'm going to talk to this person, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it. And so that's kind of what built it. And then, I don't know, I've always just loved making people laugh and making people feel happy and seen and heard. And so that's, yeah, I love people, and I love relationship building, and I like making the world a better place.
I like that. I like that we were able to catch that, because I feel like a lot of the skills that we admire in people, we tend to think that they're innate, mm-hmm. and that they were just born with it. And no, I can't do that. That's not me. Mm-hmm. But if we just realize that, you know, everyone has learned these skills. Maybe they started when they were really young, and that's why they got good at it so quickly. Yep. And they're so developed in their later stage in life. But everything is a skill that can be learned, and it's uncomfortable, but it's worth learning.
100%. I do believe that we all can, you know, get up and have a conversation. I think there's just a point where you're like, okay, do I sit here or do I not? Like, it's an action. Like you said, like it's a skill. If you build it, they will come. So you just have to keep at it. And even like the talk of the town things, you guys should go. And it's a really great way to build up that confidence. And even just, like I said, going to a coffee shop and saying, hey, I really like that croissant. That looks really delicious. How did you make it? Or something as like minuscule as that can build your confidence, but also make someone else's day. Mm-hmm. So
you really have to pick your head up too, though. Because if you're like in your phone, you're in your book, you're on your laptop, it's closed. Like there's no conversation. So you have to be aware and willing to. Open.
And sometimes it's fun to catch people off guard who are on their phone and not paying attention, being like, oh, that's a cool, not looking on their phone, but like getting people out of their comfort zone and getting people to look up, because we don't do that enough. And I think that is where God love our phones, but I have a love and I love and I hate my phone, because there's so much good things that can happen, like that, how we met, and you know, we can make great connections, but it is a tool. It should not be a lifestyle. And I think I could sit on a stool and like talk about this all day, but like, you know, we have AI now, and like we have AI girlfriends and boyfriends that people have, and we are losing this connection. And I really think that there's a lot of good that can come from it, but I do think that out of everything that has gotten through humans through centuries and all of the things, it's community, it's connection, and we need each other. Computers and technology is amazing, but what if that breaks down? What's going to happen?
You just gave me a great idea. I think at my event on Thursday, I'm going to remind people to, I mean, I ask people to turn their phones off anyway or to put them on silent, but I'll remind people during breaks, like, hey, don't open up your phone, like talk to the person next to you.
Yeah. Honestly, like even that reminder would just be good for people. And you just never know what a conversation is going to bring, because maybe that person's having a real bad day. And if you strike up a conversation with them, and they could, have something come up in their brain and be like, oh, that's a really great idea. I'm going to try that. And we, like, honestly, working from home is like one of those things is that I miss community and I miss engagement, because sometimes I feel like I've lost my creativity. And if I don't have connection or if I don't have conversation with people, I don't get those sparks of inspiration and all of that. So I think it's really good. There's so much benefits from community and connection.
Yeah, which is basically what our entire, I don't know, humanity is based on.
Yes, ever since caveman, like this is who we are. And I think we have forgotten it. There are points of light that are happening in the world today that are amazing, and I think we are seeing it, but there's so much more that we could do. And I think it starts with you. I think it starts with you deciding, like, I'm going to put my phone down and I'm going to connect with my partner tonight. We're going to play Scrabble. Like sometimes I say that with my partner too, is that, like, let's, instead of watching a movie or being on our phones, let's play Scrabble. And it's the most simple game, and you can get super competitive, but you're able just to like laugh and joke and use your brains together. And I truly believe it helps build connection.
Yeah, 100%.
So
what about for someone that feels like they need some more joy in their lives? What would you ask them to start thinking about that?
One of my favorite things to ask people is, what did they enjoy doing as a kid? It could be playing video games. It could be drawing. It could be painting. It could be playing with Legos. I know this all sounds silly, but I swear to you, if you pick up a bunch of Legos and you start putting things together and building something, being creative, doing something that gives you inspiration, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe I want to, go take a course in architecture, or, maybe I'll go take that pottery class, or maybe, this one thing is like making me realize, okay, well, maybe I do want to read more books or date. Maybe I want to go learn about dating or whatever it is. But I think doing something that inspires you and gives you that joy that I'm sure a lot of us have forgotten. There was last summer, I just decided to do a bunch of cartwheels in the middle of a park, because I'm like, when was the last time I did that? Why is it so weird or, frowned upon when adults act like kids? Obviously in a, you're not hurting anyone way, but you're doing something that makes you laugh and gives you joy. Like, is it so hard for people to feel joy anymore?
I mean, I think it's something that I struggle with. I know mentally that I need more joy, but there are blocks that I have. I think I tell myself that I'm not fun.
Yeah.
And then like I want to like be fun, but I'm like, wait, that's not me. I can't do it.
Yeah, you can, because remember, it's a skill.
That's true. Yes. Okay.
So, but I sit here spewing all of this stuff, and I will tell you, like, I am 24/7 working, and I have to consciously say to myself, okay, Erin, you need to take a break. You need to go read a book or go for a walk, or do something that takes you away from whatever the productive things that you're doing, and go just have fun. Because what I also say to people do, and I do this with my clients, is like building a self-care schedule and putting in self-care right after, you're done work or a meeting, and it doesn't have to be like an hour. It can be 5 minutes. I think people get this idea that, you need to have lots of time to do things that care for yourself. You don't. It's 5 minutes of breathing or sitting in silence, feeling those feelings that you don't want to feel. So I like to say 15 minutes because it's easy enough to put in your schedule. And it's something is like, whatever, it's 15 minutes.
Yeah, doable.
Yeah, it's doable. This all kind of comes down to the same thing of knowing yourself and having a relationship with yourself first before you get into a relationship with someone else, just because you'll be able to better navigate that relationship, but also navigate life and knowing, how to honor your yes and your no's, because I know for me, I have a hard time saying no. But if something in my body is saying, no, don't do this, like, oh, that's your signal. Like that, there's no overriding that. And learning how to find those pockets of joy, learning how to put together a self-care schedule and really bringing it back to yourself. And with my coaching, and I touched on it a little bit with the Tomb Raider story, but I really love bringing in a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of imagination, because we all need more of that in life, and creativity. So being able to visualize yourself going through an adventure is very much my vibe. You kind of go through life, and again, I'll relate this back to a video game where, you go through and you're picking up all these trinkets and these treasures and getting these level ups and health ups and all of these things that you need to move forward on your inner adventure. You also encounter things that you have to, face and you have to conquer. So I like to call those your inner dragons. And so you go through this inner adventure, collecting all of these things and facing your inner dragons, that all of these things that happen to you, so whether it's good, bad, otherwise, they're all helping you equip you for the journey. And it only until you conquer that can you go on to the next level. That's how I like to look at my coaching, curating it for the person, because everyone's story is different, but being able to carry them through as a guide through their inner journey, and also making it a little bit fun, and using your imagination and creating the life that they love as they do that. So
I like that. I don't know why I've never thought of that before. Like thinking of my life as a video game, like to try to level up, and then when my energy bar is low, I need rest.
Yeah.
So simple.
It is so simple, and I think with this kind of analogy, it just I feel like it's more energizing than like thinking about life itself and like going through the crap that we do.
Yeah.
So knowing that all of this is happening in order to push me forward is encouraging.
I want to show you something. 1 second. So I went to Comic-Con a couple of years ago because I'm a photographer and I do that. I was taking pictures there sometimes. And there's an illustrator there doing illustration work, and he was doing custom illustrations and nobody signed up for one. Like, it's $50. I'm like, why aren't we getting custom illustrations from this awesome dude?
Oh my God, I would have been like, me.
I know. So I put my name down. I was the first one. And I think his name is Keenan. He's really well known locally in the area. I asked him to draw me as a goddess.
Oh my God. And he's local to Windsor? Oh my God, I might actually commission him to do one for me.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. So that hangs in my room, and I've never showed it before, but this is,
Keenan, if you're out there, I would like to order one.
I hope that's his name. I'll put it in the show description because I have his Instagram. But yeah.
That's beautiful. That is amazing.
Yeah, I thought you would enjoy that.
Totally.
Okay, so if people want to find out more about you, they like this conversation, they want to explore Date on Purpose or Joy Tribe, where can they find you?
Usually Instagram is where I hang out.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, no problem. I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.